So let's just start off with the obvious. We're 100 days out. What does this mean preparation-wise, getting ready, the excitement building?
Well, when we get to 100 days out, we've thought an awful lot, obviously, about the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. A lot of planning. Planning actually starts about 18 months before each 500. So once we get to 100 days out, we're almost only in execution mode. So hopefully we planned everything well. I know our staff, our people, even our fans are just excited for that countdown. So a lot of things begin today, 100 days out, as we lead into the 110th running of the Indianapolis 500. So it's really in execution mode and countdown mode. And hopefully we get good weather and we all celebrate an amazing race on May 24th.
That sounds like a lot of fun. And I know that there is a fan party
Yeah.
happening to kind of kick off the season and the start of the countdown, essentially.
Yeah,
What's that
in
about?
2016, when we were leading into the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500, one of the things we wanted to do was celebrate that 100-day countdown to the 100th. And it was so successful that we've just kept it going every year. So tonight here in Indianapolis, we'll have about 2,000 fans who come out, and it's just our way of officially saying it's 100 days. Marcus Ericsson, our 2022 Indianapolis 500 winner, will be there. A lot of activities for fans, and we do it at the Speedway. Fortunately, we're not covered in snow right now, so it'll work out pretty well. But it's just one of those traditions that we started in 2016, and it's just a fun way to get fans excited. When we tell fans those tickets are available, it's literally a couple of hours before they're all gone. So it's one of those kind of sold out. It's a free event, but it's a sold out event. It's just a lot of fun to just be around people who love the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Indy 500.
And what can fans expect this year? Anything different from last? The camaraderie, just
Yep.
any
I,
fun?
Yeah, I think the one thing that makes the 500 so special is there's so much of it that you can count on. When you bring somebody for the first time, you can tell them what they're going to experience. And then we throw in little surprises here and there. Like last year, we had these helicopters at the start of the race that were basically right in line with the fans in the grandstand. It was one of those spectacular moments. It's Memorial Day weekend, so it's important to celebrate. Obviously, the 250th anniversary of our country, a lot of red, white, and blue this year. We're going to do a little bit of celebrating of our Indiana Hoosiers and them picking up a national championship. It's kind of fun. When we think national championship in Indiana, we think Notre Dame automatically, and then to have Indiana in the mix too is pretty exciting. So we'll do some of that, but a lot of it is just the same thing that people are used to that makes that pre-race so special as we lead into back home again in Indiana, and then the command to start engines.
A tradition like no other.
That
Um,
is absolutely true.
and going more back to the America 250th, celebrating that, you mentioned a little bit about honoring that, but also keeping true to tradition. Can you go a little bit more into what the plans are for that?
Yeah, so we started it with just our logo, right? Our logo is red, white, and blue, celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country. I remember the 200th. I know I'm getting old, but there's still a lot of people that remember that and how special that is to get to those milestones. And a lot of our pre-race ceremony, and it's typically because it's Memorial Day weekend, celebrating men and women who serve and paid the ultimate sacrifice. We're going to lean into our country and the red, white, and blue. I think you'll see multiple flyovers. You're going to see a lot of ways that we celebrate what makes our country so special. And then we're coalescing around a thing called United We Race. When Carl Fisher had the first Indianapolis 500 before it ever had been run in 1911, he called it an international sweepstakes. And he wanted to bring people from around the world to race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And if you look at the diversity of our field, we have so many people from around the world who compete at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, work at the Indy 500, work for those teams. We're going to just really try and celebrate the fact that this is a unique event in the middle of our country, but it celebrates everybody around the world on this really amazing racetrack at this amazing venue. So we're going to lean into all of those things as we lead into the 110th running of the 500.
Sounds great. Um, let's talk about the economic impact of the Indy 500. Obviously, it creates jobs. It brings in a ton of revenue
Yep.
for Indiana and for our country. But can you talk about today? Or this year, I know I see that ticket sales have been up over 10%
Yep.
year after year. So what does
Yeah,
that
well, last year we actually were fortunate enough we sold out our grandstand seats, so we That was a big deal. Hadn't done that since 2016. We have 235,000 permanent seats at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So it's basically like 4 football stadiums. And then you put 100,000 people in the infield. So you're looking at close to 350,000 people that show up there. So it is an economic engine for the state of Indiana. The state of Indiana benefits from about $1 billion in economic impact that's directly attributed to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the events that we have there. So we're called the Indianapolis 500 Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but we are an Indiana asset. And a lot of the decisions we make to host things or to do things at our facility are really about how are we doing that to put Indiana on an international stage that we can talk about how great our state is, but more importantly that we're delivering jobs and revenue back to our state and just and impacting our state in a positive way. So that's it's an important piece for us, and it starts with those ticket sales. 50 different countries were represented in our grandstands last year. 48 different countries were represented in our grandstands last year, and 50 different states were represented. So it is an international event that brings a lot of people to our state, gives us an opportunity to remind people why the Hoosier hospitality is a real thing, and why living in Indiana is a great place to raise families.
That's awesome. And also just celebrating the countdown to the start of the season. I see here that it will start in St. Petersburg on March 1st. What else is the season looking like?
So the season this year is going to be 18 races. It's going to kick off in 2 weeks in St. Petersburg. We go right from there to Phoenix, and then from Phoenix to Arlington, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So it's going to kick off in a different way. Lots of races early on, really quickly leading into the time we get here in May, but 18 races. Normally we're 17. We're 18 now. We added a race in Washington, D.C. First time ever to have race cars in our capital city. It's a great way to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our country and to showcase Indiana product, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway cars, the IndyCar cars, in front of the Capitol and right in front of the Washington Monument, which has so much Indiana limestone in it. It's a great way for us to just celebrate our country's birthday and celebrate the fun of IndyCar racing.
I'm John Paul. Thanks for watching. Here's another video for you to watch. Also, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel.